Hey, schoolers, I'm Cynthia Schiller here talking with Mike Gagnon to let us know a little bit about who you are, how you started on school, what your community is about, and we're going to start talking about some ways to expand and grow. So, Mike, go ahead and tell me a little about you and your journey.
Well, I've been working in entertainment and publishing for over 25 years. So I've kind of worked in a lot of aspects of television and video games and comic books and publishing. So um, it's kind of the culmination of something I enjoyed doing my entire life. I started getting into drawing and doing comic five, and I started working professionally in comics when I was still in high school.
Oh, wow.
So it, and so in that time, I've worked for a lot of different clients, and I've worked in a lot of ways where I've had to learn because there was no kind of path set out before me. So I had to learn, from my mistakes, so to speak. And so now when I'm teaching and when I'm coaching people, I'm trying to use my mistakes as a lesson for them, so that it makes that much easier, a little bit easier for them to start their career and get into the same kind of like the creative arts like I am. I'm into, I make comics and
That is fantastic.
novels,
And I
and
love
I've taught
that.
video game design, and just so everything, just storytelling really is what I really enjoy most. It's storytelling, and so I've when other kids were maybe outside playing with their friends in the street, I lived in the middle of nowhere, so there was no other kids around. So I was just literally learning, reading books, and learning how to write press releases, like learning how to draw, learning how to put stories together. I've been, you know, practicing. I practiced and I learned these skills through my entire life, and was researching all through my childhood until I was old enough to actually do it. It's really,
I'll tell you what,
it's
though, if people would stop and listen to the people who have already gone through this journey, they can
yeah.
learn so much. And like you said, avoid so many mistakes. It gives them like such a boost. So you talked about coaching. Can you tell me first the name of your school community? I'll leave the link for people in the comments so they can join your community. But tell me the name and some of the offerings. And if you're doing live coaching, your classroom.
So it's the creative Illuminati, and it ties together. It's a little bit tongue in cheek. I like to write humor and horror and stuff too. So creative, obviously, for creative people. If you're a content creator, if you have ever wanted to learn how to become one, and ever wanted to learn how to get a novel finished, and get it published, and I mean, those are some of the biggest hurdles even before you have to worry about finding a publisher, is actually finishing it. There's so many people who have so many ideas and they never finish it and they never get a chance to share it. So I like to try and find streamlined ways, not only for me to produce more creative work, but to help others produce theirs as well. And, a lot of people will go their entire lives not thinking that they could ever write a book or do their own comic. And so it's often, I find people who are um, my age and older are still wanting to learn, how do I do digital illustration? How do I get a book published on Amazon? Um, and these are all things that I've been doing for over 25 years. So why not help other people get started?
Yeah, and I'm
Uh,
in your group now. I need to learn more about. Do you do anything? Is that KDP?
yeah, yeah. So I just did a little video about KDP today, actually. Um, and it was based on one of the members had asked if I could do some information on Amazon. And I mean, I've had books on Amazon for quite a while now, probably 10 years, and I've had some bestsellers in particular categories. So, um, it's weird. It feels weird to say that even now. And, like I had a string of bestsellers on Amazon from like late 2016 to early 2018. I had several in a row. And,
That's
and
awesome.
yeah, and I mean, I appreciate it, especially because they were in different genres. I had a horror novel and then a self-publishing guide. Both were bestsellers in their categories.
So you
Um,
definitely know what you're talking about.
well, I mean, I try. It's partly experience, partly dedication, partly just a passion, I guess, because I really enjoy teaching. I've taught in uh, some pretty well-known art schools in Canada here. I even was an instructor at one of the only colleges that taught sequential art in Canada. There are a couple in the States that are well known, and there's many more programs in places that I probably don't even know about. But in Canada, we had one school that that had a sequential art program, and I was very, very lucky that I got to enjoy that.
So
Um,
do you deal with the actual art, like hand drawing or digital
yeah,
drawing?
um, I I personally in the classroom I taught script writing, digital illustration, digital coloring, and digital lettering. Um, I've worked traditionally and digitally on many different projects for different clients. When I first started, I just worked traditionally, and that's late '90s, early 2000s. I was just doing everything by hand, but I've definitely adopted digital technology whenever it's advanced. So
Yeah.
um,
I
I've
mean, sometimes
I've
if you
been
think about it, like how much more you can produce.
It's not just how much more you can produce, but I mean, especially if you're comparing art. Let's say you want to work with oil paint, and you have to make that in layers, and you have to let the layers dry between, and
Oh,
all that stuff. And now, I mean, there's software, for example, one that's a fairly affordable is Art Rage. It's called, and it mimics the brush strokes. It mimics the bubbles in the tube. You can squeeze the tube onto the screen and spread it out with a palette knife.
wow.
And you can still work in layers like you're in Photoshop. So you can sit there and you can paint each layer without having to wait for them to dry in the middle. And it looks like an oil painting.
That is
Uh,
so cool.
yeah, so that's definitely been my takeaway. I mean, there is an argument for artists that you have less original artwork to sell
Right.
if you want to make that a part of your income. And I mean, it can be lucrative if you get connected with the right markets. um, but maybe I'm technologically addicted. I keep finding the fact that I can keep making stuff faster
Yeah.
more interesting. And
It's
like,
that dopamine hit of the final
yeah,
project. You're
yeah,
like, I
yeah,
did
and
this.
exactly. And so it lets me get things done faster. And so I've kind of always taken and adapted things. And I think that's where AI is going to go. I know there's a lot of people that are really, really worried about AI. And I think that after things settle down a bit,
Right.
because I think it maybe has been a little bit overhyped or over
Yeah, because
vilified.
it's so new.
Yeah, like I think there are going to be ways where you can integrate AI as a tool in your toolkit to help you get more work done. So it's not going to be necessarily the AI doing, like, for me, the illustration work is the fun of it. So I still like to work traditionally when I can, or I will find ways that I can get in there and actually do some physical stuff, no matter how much I use the computer or how
Right.
things get digitally. I always um, will find ways, because sometimes I find maybe there's a pattern or a texture that's really easy to apply in a computer, but it just doesn't look exactly the way I want to. Maybe I want to hand draw that and scan it in and place it in place.
Right.
So there's so many ways that you can use the existing technology and the AI together, that it doesn't have to be necessarily the thing that's going to cost everyone their jobs or replace everybody. I don't think that's the future. I've seen this said elsewhere. It's not going to be AI replacing workers. It's going to be workers who use AI replacing workers.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so being on the cutting edge is extremely important. One thing that I thought was
Yeah.
really cool is how you said that that one person asked you to do, you know, how do I do this? So it helps when your community asks questions, it gives you
Yeah.
ideas and it focuses, but also for the people that join your community, whether they use a link in the comments or search you, but they can network with each other, they can learn, and sometimes there's either hidden job opportunities or information or even just friendships. So as far
Yeah.
as like the community, how is yours set up? Do you have like a discussion board? You have the classroom?
I have a lot of stuff in the classroom because I spent a lot of time focusing on that classroom before I had really even gotten into what the community tab was in school. I was really like, without consulting school, I was like, it's really important to get this done. I've got to build a classroom so that there'll be stuff here for
Yeah.
when people show up. And then I did that, and then I started actually interacting with people, and I was like, oh, apparently I did not
Same
need
here.
to do all that. So I've had things turned off and on, and I've been experimenting with, what you offer at the different levels for people, and what is level one, and what is just open and public or not public, and just trying to kind of see what response, what encourages the best response, because just like you said, like getting feedback from your community, it's almost a passive way to conduct a poll. Like if I start doing a certain type of post more often and people are engaged less, or I start to lose members, that sometimes that might be a sign that I might want to include their opinions more,
Right.
and run more polls.
Mhm.
And I mean, it doesn't do me any good to record 1,000 hours of tutorials that nobody wants to watch
Well, part of
if
it
they're
too
not
is like
interested in learning.
it makes it more active instead of passive, just watching you on
Right.
a video. They feel more invested. So the more
Yeah.
we can get them to interact, the more investment that they've made. It's weird how
Yeah.
that,
And I mean, that's the thing about school is you don't have to be like, I really do have a background in teaching, so I had pictured everything like a really rigid curriculum scheduled out over a 3-month period, right? And I mean, you don't have to do that.
no, it could be a half hour. Could be
And I'm thinking in my head, because I've planned actual teaching curriculums before. So I was like, oh, this is how this works.
right. No, no, no.
Not like that at all.
So the one nice thing about people with school communities is you can have a community or you can also make money on it. So is your the basic entrance, is it free at this time?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then
Yeah. So
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it was public and free previously. Currently it is private. So you have to join before you can see the discussions in the community.
And has that worked better for you?
I think it's too recent for me to judge.
Yeah, because I've been back and forth
So
on that.
yeah. But yeah, it'll take a little bit more time for me to see. I guess when I see how long it takes to get up to 100, I'll have an idea of, was the first 50 faster or slower? Was the second 50 faster, slower? And am I getting less questionable applications like bots and whatnot? Um, but that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, just to kind of gauge if
What
public and
works, what
private.
doesn't. And
Yeah.
you're extremely new, but extremely knowledgeable. So you are coming up on 100 members right now.
Yeah.
It's what, January 15th? And
Yeah.
how fast you've grown, though. You're doing really well on that. So I think I want people to realize that at this time, he is so new to school, but his knowledge is amazing. So I've enjoyed the stuff that I've seen from you, and I know you're constantly learning. We're in Nick's group as well. Have
Yeah.
you found that networking through other communities has been beneficial or kind of a waste of time?
Yeah, no, I definitely find like, and my biggest struggle right now is dedicating all the time I would like to all of the communities that I'm a member of, either in the
Yeah.
classroom with the stuff that I want to learn, or just with the interacting. It's something I actually like. I really struggle with fitting into my day, but it's always on my mind. I want to make sure that I fit that time into my day where I can, even if I have to be less engaging for a couple days because things are just going on. I'll try and make up for it
I think
afterwards.
what's good is to try to set a time limit, like 1 hour a day,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, definitely. That's definitely something I've been experimenting with. And it's really great. There's a lot of really supportive people, and I think that's really what sets school apart from other platforms that I've been online, like any kind of social media. You've got so many people who I guess are just miserable and take it out on strangers on the internet.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. But school just came out with that new like spam alert thing.
Yeah,
So we get warned if untoward people are trying to get into our communities.
yeah. It's
Have
interesting.
you had some crazy experiences with certain members? I had to get
Who
rid
have
of
I?
a few. Yeah.
I just like weird things like having to ask them questions before I decide whether to let them in or not because
Okay.
their answers to the original three that they had to answer when they asked were so weird
Okay.
that like either this person is really funny
Right.
or
Or
and
threatening. Either funny
it's
or threatening.
um so yeah, I find, yeah, when there's weird answers to the questions, then I'll ask them a few more questions and just make sure that everything is on the up and up. And sometimes people really are in a different area where they normally live, and so their locations don't match.
Yeah.
But other times I'll be like, "So, where are you located?" And then they won't answer. And
Oh, they won't even answer.
yeah,
Okay.
sometimes they don't even answer. I just had one like that recently, and then other times you do your best to try and screen, and then all of a sudden you'll have someone who just starts posting the same line every minute
Oh,
on the same thread, and you're like, oh, why do you bother?
like this is really worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for your community, what are some of the things that I know sometimes for me it's like abstract. It hasn't quite come together yet. But do you know
Okay.
like where you either want this to be within the next year or some things that you're envisioning right now?
I mean, I would love it to be um, something that I could maybe offer more full time and organized. If it was something that I was a full time schooler, that would be great. But right now, I'm not yet.
So are
But
you working during the day right now?
I'm always working on some sort of a creative project all the
Okay.
time. I'm actually working on a couple different books right now. So I'm working on a comic and I'm working on a writer's block themed book. So
Oh,
if
you should
if
do
I've
this is
worked,
what writer's block is like and just sell them like a bunch of white paper.
that is clever, but no, it's about how to uh, build positive work patterns so that you don't struggle with writer's block or that you know how to get through it in a way that is productive when you run into it instead of being frustrated. There are ways to kind of integrate it into your creative process and build up habits so that when you recognize yourself having writer's block and struggling with writer's block, you have some tools that will kind of get your ideas flowing again and get unstuck.
Yeah, because writer's block is real. Like,
Yeah.
oh my
Oh yeah.
gosh.
And
You can be,
it's natural. It's sorry, go ahead.
well, I've had it where I'm super fast at writing. I'm really good at writing,
Mhm.
right. And then you're like, and then so you wrote like 40 pages in 2 hours, and then you're stuck
Yeah.
at this for 2 weeks for one
Yeah.
paragraph or one
Yeah.
sentence. It'll drive you
Yeah.
crazy. You're like, I could do this. I just need just this hurdle right here. And
Yeah.
then you go into speed mode again. But do you do a lot of revision with your stuff?
Um, yeah. I almost I almost never stop revising.
Okay.
Even sometimes up to the last minute, I'll be ready for a book to come out, and I'll have a second thought about a paragraph or a chapter or a chunk of text in the story,
Hmm.
and it's really hard not to over obsess because once it's done, you have that feeling of accomplishment, but then you've still got that little area, that time between the feeling of accomplishment and when everyone else sees it, and you never know how people are going to respond, and you never know if it's going to be well received, and you never know, you know, who you're either going to offend or, or who knows what, right? So
So
it just
the book on Amazon, does Amazon promote that, or is it just kind of like put there and people find you?
um, which book are we talking about on Amazon?
Just
The
when you started, let's say, I don't know, Writer's Block by Mike Gagnon,
okay.
um, then what? You just wait for customers to come, or do they push out?
Okay. Well, there's a few different ways to get things set up. I have worked with different distributors and print on demand or self-published printers in the past with some of my work. Other ones are obviously work I've done for clients, so they handled the printing
Okay.
and distribution of that. But for the stuff where I've self-published, um, it really depends on what platform you want to use, and you have to do, the research on that. I was with Ingram Spark for years and years. And then I had a problem and I saw a real sharp drop in their quality control.
Okay.
And so, I mean, they're one of the biggest book distributors and they can get your stuff into, Walmart.com. But
Oh,
sorry, that's my
I
dog.
mean that's
Um,
big.
yeah. But there was a quality control issue that kind of made it impossible to keep dealing there. So um, the other thing I use is draft to digital. So what they do is you can upload your Word file, and they will take you through a little layout system, and you can lay out a book in a minute. It's so like
Huh.
you've got the interior already laid out. You can choose little chapter headings. You can put little illustrations and stuff. You can set your margins however you like. It's really, really, really handy. I really like them. And then, of course, they distribute both ebooks and print and audiobooks to basically all the major platforms, including Amazon. So they're kind of my favorite right now. I'm always trying different distribution systems,
Right.
um, but I find Draft to Digital really, really handy, really easy to use. I'm not, sponsored by them. It's not an ad. It's just I've been using their tools for a while now, and I find that they're really well designed and easy to use, and you don't have to be. Not that I don't. I used to do layout and design in Adobe InDesign, and before that Quark Express for years. I had to really lay out things, and you had to worry about printing press settings and stuff. And so much of that has been automated now that it's so much easier to get a book set up and ready to print than it's ever been. Again, this is why I've kind of leaned toward embracing technology as it develops, because I mean I love, that there was a time where you could take a couple more days to get things done.
Mhm.
I do like that, but there's days I'm like, man, I wish we didn't have computers, and you know, this would be this would be an insurmountable task. This would be something that would take me a week to do that I can do in a couple hours now.
Right.
Um, but it helps kind of drive things, because I think the easier things get technologically, the more
Mhm.
opportunity it gives to more people to pursue something that they love or enjoy.
Right.
I try and find ways that new technologies make my life easier, and take a little bit off of my plate. And that was what I forgot to mention with the illustration. Like, for example, I was saying the oil painting. You also don't have to worry about the paint thinner. You also don't have to worry about brushes and buying paint
And
and
fumes,
cleaning those brushes.
right?
And, like,
And
right? And so,
the cost
yeah,
too.
right. So, sure, you might say, I don't want to spend $75, or it might be $100 now. It's last time I checked, it was still just a one-time fee, and I've had a few different versions of it because I've had this program over the years and seen them do newer, updated versions and stuff, and it's still the original features are the best thing, is that I don't have to wait for things to dry, and I don't have to clean up
Right.
after, and it still looks like a painting when you're done.
That's
And so, like,
amazing.
yeah, I'm always spreading the word about different software that I use, especially for people that are learning. Um, I just feel like it's just like a pencil in your pencil case. That's a
Hmm.
tool that you need to use to make your illustration or to tell your story. And there's no need to fight on improvements.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So the people joining your community, do they have to have like prior knowledge or
no,
complete newbies
I'm
okay?
sorry, what was that?
A complete newbie, somebody who doesn't know anything yet?
Oh, yeah. You can be at any level, and that's why the lessons that I'm doing that are requested by members, they're
Hmm.
short little lessons. I try not to be too long. I think I've been doing about 20 minutes, and I'm actually trying to shorten that a bit.
Okay.
And just small steps. So you're going from first time you've heard about whatever it is we're covering, to this is how things work professionally. These are the things that I've learned and seen over 20 years or 25 years, depending on what we're talking about. This is what you can expect. This is what you shouldn't expect, or this is what you should watch out for. you
Ah,
know
right.
uh, yeah.
And I
But
love that.
also,
You're
yeah,
kind of available for people too when they get stuck in a project, right?
yeah, I try. Uh, like, even the school magazine community that I'm a part of, like, they needed some images, and so we did that. And I've been having them carry one-page comic strips of mine since I first found them. So I've been putting little one-page comic strips in the school magazine.
What are they called?
Um,
Magas? Is that what they're called?
Manga.
Manga, yes.
Yeah,
Do you do any of that?
yeah.
Or is it just a different
I
layout?
I have a few different styles that I've adapted for different purposes. So it depends on if it's my own project. It depends on what I'm kind of picturing in my head. Sometimes I'm thinking of something that's more manga and anime style, and
Right.
then other times I'm picturing characters that are maybe more realistic and painted and really like digitally painted detail. And then sometimes I'm thinking traditional black line comic comic book artwork, like what people picture, even if they're not into comics. When you say comic books, they picture like that 50s and 60s
Superman,
pop
Spider-Man.
art style. So, and working digitally has given me the ability to develop all of those different styles faster and easier so that I can be, a little bit more versatile if I have a particular vision for a project. And like, because I've been like a fan and an aficionado, so to speak, my whole life, like I'm not the biggest expert in manga and anime, but I know enough to know, like, sorry, I just need to get a little drink here. Dry mouth. Anyway, I just I know a little bit about each style and design and their cultural influences, and so if I want to do something that I'm picturing would work really well as like a Saturday morning cartoon, but done in like the style of maybe the Powerpuff Girls or Astro Boy. Like I'm gonna draw that in a more manga style.
Yeah.
And if I'm writing like a serious story about crime or like a horror story, I might go really detailed, really dark, kind of digital painted look.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and to I definitely believe that you got to put your 10,000 hours in, um, you know,
Yeah.
and at least I think I had to do that before I had the confidence to kind of share knowledge with people.
You've definitely done a lot and a lot of trial and error. Can I ask what like one of the major setbacks or one thing that you learned that needed to be adjusted, or I know it's kind of hard on the spot question.
Well, that's okay. Um, I was actually just thinking earlier, I'm really bad at marketing and self promotion. And so I never know if I'm doing not enough or too much. And so sometimes I fluctuate back and forth because I'm kind of gauging the response I get and then
Okay,
trying
perfect.
to find that kind of balance in between. Because I don't I don't want to like, and I struggle when I'm promoting myself. I'm like, I feel like I'm bragging if I start talking about it. Like I don't want to come off like someone who's like, oh, me, I did this and look
Right.
at me. The hyperactive kid that's looking to get attention.
Oh,
Uh, so so I try and dial back a little bit lower than that. Um,
well, that's why I started School Network, and the link's in the bio, but to help with the marketing, because yeah, there's sometimes that we kind of lessen ourselves because we don't want to seem like a braggart or
right.
or things like
Yeah.
that. It's uncomfortable, but we have to like own who we are to have that
Right.
confidence. So that's one thing that we'll work on. But I get
Yeah.
it. I
Sure.
and starting out, I was like that too. Well, because it does. If that's just the way we were raised, that's kind of ingrained in us. We feel like we're bragging. But to where if we
Yeah.
can understand that we're just saying this is who I am, and to be
Yeah.
okay with that, to not
Yeah.
lessen
Exactly.
ourselves because we did put in the effort to rise above, and we have to, we're still kind people. We're just saying this is who I am.
Yeah.
And then also I know it's kind of like a generational change too. We were talking about the way certain people market versus like how our age group marketed.
Yeah.
And what works, what doesn't. And one thing I have a soul survivor on school and I do a lot with psychology. Um,
Right.
and in order for things to be effective, we have to meet people where they're at. And we're at like a
Right.
different generation coming up. So, like, even as a teacher, what worked when I was growing up is like, sit down, don't talk. I'm gonna call your mother. Now it's like, sweetheart, let's go for a walk and here's some candy. And like it's so we have to realize we're at like
Remember.
that change in who is our demographic is one thing we need to learn too.
Right.
Like how do we market it? So School Network, we'll definitely help you with that. And I know
Yeah.
you've been a great support in that community too.
I try. I mean, like I said, I try and engage in any community I'm a member of, and I feel bad when I can or if I don't have time. So I, again, like, newsflash, if you haven't been able to tell already, I have a bit of anxiety,
Oh.
an anxiety issue.
You also had a bad day. You're stuck in a what 2 foot snowstorm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's not even all of it. Like, I I was supposed to be seeing the dentist today because I've got some issues going on and like extreme nerve pain on the right side of my face. And the weather was so bad that the dentist was closed because of the weather. So
Oh my gosh.
I'll have to try and get in there tomorrow morning. And I'm just like,
Do you have a snowblower or do you have to shovel out or a plow?
um, a little bit of both. So we snow blow the driveway and I shovel out all the steps and the ramp and stuff we have out front and the back deck so the dogs can get out to do their business and stuff like that. So I had to shovel everything out, I think, 4 times today.
I believe. Yeah, I believe.
Yeah,
Well,
that,
tell me one more time. The name is Creative Illuminati.
yes, Creative Illuminati.
And I'll tell you what, Mike, I'd like to do a follow-up with you, maybe in a month or two, and kind of let people know a little bit more about your community again. I'd love to have you back.
Sure.
And
I'm hoping that I'll have learned more from my community by then too, because it is a give and take, and the more that I learn from them, the more I can tailor the community to what it is that they are looking for, because I've got a wide breadth of knowledge. So I don't mind focusing on one area or another more if that's what people are looking to learn.
yeah, the community, a lot of people, if they're just kind of viewers, like takers, they're missing out on their ability to help mold this community into something that suits them. I
Yeah.
know a lot of people will either like leave and it's like, this isn't what I wanted. And it's like, well, tell me what you want. I'll give it to you. And it's but yeah,
Yeah.
the school community does build upon itself. And
Yeah.
you have a hard
And like,
time do you have a hard time getting people to interact? Because that's one thing on school you have to kind of learn.
not too bad. I find that there's a mix of like, because again, there's lots of advice out there and a lot of groups giving out advice like this is how you should engage and have like different themed weekly days. But I also think part of it is just being human and asking for a response, making
Yeah.
sure that when you post, you finish with a question. Something that I had to remind myself a lot of when I first started, and I think I'm getting better at it now. Trying to do more um, discussion starting as opposed to just making a statement like you do on social media. You know,
Right. Yeah, it is
you know,
different.
yeah, and getting your mind around, like you said, like interacting and finding out. I might have an idea of what this lesson plan should be,
Right.
but if the people interested in this lesson plan are like, but I want to learn this, then why
Right.
not? If I have the ability to teach it and if I've got the experience in it, I'm more than happy to share that knowledge to help somebody else.
I agree. And it's just like as a teacher, you can see the feedback. Like if I'm teaching a lesson and the kids are like, you're like, oh, I need to kind of switch this up, whether I need to be more energetic or, turn the lights back on or whatever it is.
Yeah,
So online teaching can be hard, but
yeah,
if you have a good community, they can definitely help make it easier for you too, where the
yeah,
feedback,
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, feedback is great, and I've really appreciated it. And both of the recorded bite-sized lessons I did for the community this week were suggested by members. So someone
okay.
said they wanted to learn more about doing digital illustration for comics and like CGI aided illustration. So
Oh,
I was like, oh,
CGI.
yeah. And there's so much crossover potential with those, depending on what software you're using. I'm showing how to do things in DAZ right now, but later on I may get into Blender, and Blender has even more options where you can make CGI animation, and then you can draw in layers on top of it as if you're drawing on an animation film. So you
Oh,
hand drawing and the CGI drawing together, you can make a show. You can make a little film where some of the characters are hand drawn and some of them are like three-dimensional, and like
it's
it's
wild.
yeah, it's so cool what you're able to do now creatively. And I think back to I was laughing with my sister a while ago. I said, when I was a kid and we had a computer, the screen was this big. It only had one line
Yeah.
of text and it was red and it was pre-programmed and it was like teaching you the alphabet and how to spell and stuff.
Yeah. My
And-
my first computer thing was it starts with a dot and then you put a box around it and then another box. It was like rainbow colors, but
right,
it's
right.
like a whole semester to make that, you know? You're like, yes. And
Yeah.
now the kids are doing all this AI stuff. But
Oh, I know.
even joining your group would seriously help people save money. Like you were talking about different computer programs, and I know for me as a beginner, you know, I
Yeah,
might invest 150 in that software and then I see it's a waste of time.
yeah,
So even just your knowledge on which one's worth it, this one might be more
yeah,
expensive, but the knowledge itself uh
yeah.
is worth the cost of the lesson.
Yeah, and I mean it's something that I've never had a problem with because it's something that I'm naturally interested in. So I want to try all the different software they have every time
Right.
something comes out. I want to see what can this do? How close is this to drawing by hand? What can I do that is an improvement or that is are you what problem are you solving with this software in my life?
And I'll tell you what, I'd like to, don't answer. I'd like to ask you your opinion on which are best. But we're gonna invite people to join your group to find
Okay.
out. They can ask that question.
Yeah,
So Mike, I would love to have you back. Thank you so much
for
for your
sure.
time. And everybody, the link will be in the comments to join his group. And thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too.